Coming up on this episode of the Designers of Change podcast.
When we stretch, we have a sense of fulfillment. When you are stagnant like water, you're not moving, you tend to become bitter with life.
Right.
You tend to become dissatisfied with life.
Stretching to a new dimension is uncomfortable, but if we don't embrace that level of difficulty, struggle, what may seem like a force pushing against you, then it may mean that you're going to stay stagnant, and that is even worse, right? Welcome to the chart-topping Designers of Change podcast. So excited to have you guys on today. And listen, we have a topic that I think everybody's going to be interested in, because we all want to go to the next level, but most of us don't even know what the next level looks like. So we're going to be focusing on stretching to new dimensions.
Yes, I think it's a very relevant topic as we close out the first month
Yeah.
in the first month of the new year.
Yes.
And growing is a natural part of life. And without growth, we become a bit dissatisfied with life.
Yes.
And that is a truth, because if you don't have a sense of a healthy dissatisfaction, then you are going to die in mediocrity. And stretching takes us out of that sense of mediocrity, and we want to stretch, we want to grow for a number of reasons. One, when we stretch, we have a sense of fulfillment. When you are stagnant like water, you're not moving, you tend to become bitter with life.
Right.
You tend to become dissatisfied with life. And when you stretch outside of that, you are able to have a sense of fulfillment. Not only that, but when you stretch, when you grow, when you become, you also extend your impactfulness. It's such a word I'm making up for.
I follow you. Don't
Yes.
worry.
And so when you stretch as a person to grow, you are multiplying your impactfulness to the wider society. Now, if you are not growing as an individual, if your business is not getting better, whatever it is that you are doing is not getting better, then your impactfulness is not being multiplied. Another thing about why you need to stretch as well is a level of newness. When you grow, you are growing into a new dimension.
Right.
And we love newness.
True.
We love newness. Another reason why you want to grow is a sense of satisfaction,
Right.
personal satisfaction. It's just like when you start school and you finish school, you get a level of satisfaction from that. You can applaud
or
yourself.
fulfillment.
Or fulfillment.
Builds
So
your confidence.
it builds your
It
confidence.
makes you more, motivated to do other things. Yes.
So while you are listening to the podcast today or tonight, wherever you are in the world streaming this podcast, we want you to stretch into a new dimension, stretch into a new level. And stretching, it has a level of discomfort, because when an athlete is preparing to run, they have to stretch their muscle, and sometimes they may experience discomfort. A muscle might tear, and so it is with us. When we are stretching into a new season, a newness, it's going to cause teething pain, growth pain, as they like to say, because when a new teeth is being emerged, there's going to be some dissatisfaction in your mouth. And so if you're not experiencing a level of dissatisfaction, then you are going to die in mediocrity.
Absolutely. And we're not talking about physical death. No, we're talking about you just not growing in a particular area of your life. And that is just complete hell, because you won't feel good getting up every day, doing the same things and not moving. Now, just before we go into all of that, before we expound on that, we have to say a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors who have literally partnered with us on this journey. To Jace Myrie Remedial, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, Amanda's Kitchen, and also to Vibrant Creative Studio. Also, a huge shout out to Caribbean Gospel TV,
Yes,
who
yes.
is actually streaming this podcast in over 22 countries. And so we are just so amazed at what is happening. We want to say thank you for encouraging us and just keeping us going. So, Mr. Wright, now back to you. So, you've already laid the framework. You've just let us know that stretching to a new dimension is uncomfortable. But if we don't embrace that level of difficulty, struggle, what may seem like a force pushing against you, then it may mean that you're going to stay stagnant, and that
Yes.
is even worse,
Yes,
right?
yes. The thing about when you remain stagnant in life passes us by.
Yes.
We have seen a number of company that life passes them by. For example, Blockbuster. They
Yeah.
did not change. They did not grow. And here's the thing. As much as we like to say dissatisfaction may push us into a new level of growth, into able to be in stretch. Here's something that kills us from not stretching into a new dimension: success. Because he who worship the past will remain in it. And there are many times that we become so successful at where we are that we tend to live off yesterday and we never grow. And so success can become a bad teacher in the sense that it can make you become comfortable at where you are, not realizing that life is moving, because there's nothing as constant in life as change. And so if you're not intentional about what can I learn from this success, it is okay for me to feel a level of dissatisfaction, that what I have accomplished now is not enough for me
Right.
to move into the next. And here's the other thing: if we don't stretch, we will never ever fulfill our potential, because there's always more inside of us that what we can accomplish, because potential is what? Unused success. Or is that right? Unused success. Yeah, to some extent, because your potential is always what you can become. So if you have fulfilled something today, there's still more that you can become. And so it's a natural part of the human being that we grow. For example, a baby will grow. You don't expect the baby to remain at the same length, the same height as it was a year ago. No, if the baby remained the same, no, you take that baby to the doctor, right?
Right.
Because there must be some
Something
level.
wrong,
Yeah,
right?
something wrong. You are expecting the baby to creep at probably 6 or 7 or 8 months. You are probably expecting that baby to walk probably 1 year.
As you speak, something just dawned on me. I remember when I gave birth to Ami. Once you're in Jamaica, you gave birth in Jamaica. You're given what they call a immunization passbook. They call it's almost like an immunization passport. So every time the child has to go to school, there are requirements that you have to ensure that the child is immunized, right? Now, in that passbook, it literally outlines the development stages
Yes,
of your child.
yes,
What
yes.
is expected at 9 months, what is expected 1 year, 2 years. They're telling you ahead of time.
Yes.
This is what should be happening. And if that's not happening, something is wrong.
Yes.
And you need to ensure that you're going to your health facility or your clinic, because the child's measurements must be moving in this particular region. Of course, everybody
Yeah.
is different. So imagine if that is something that is literally ingrained in society. We know that it is a natural progression for the child to grow, to start creeping, walking, running, all of that. Can you imagine for our own lives, for our career, for our finances, our emotional well-being? All of that requires some kind of movement.
Yeah, it requires movement. Here's the thing: the Stone Age didn't end because we run out of stone. the Stone Age in because human beings are getting better. We know that we must grow. We know that there are more in us than what we have done so far. And so we have to keep on moving for impactfulness, for fulfillment, for newness, and going to a new level. Now, how does a person stretch? First and foremost, stretching start on the inside. There must be a desire. There's a shocking truth that say only 5% of people who leave university read at least one book in his or her lifetime to develop
That's such a
themselves.
shame.
So imagine somebody.
Such a shame.
So
But
imagine,
it's true.
yeah. So imagine somebody leave university. The average university graduate never read another book to develop or improve themselves. So that person is a stagnant individual. The truth is that no one travel to look at stagnant water.
Yeah.
Nobody traveled to look at stagnant water. When we traveled to Canada, we went to Niagara Fall because it is moving. It's a fall and it's refreshing. Now, when you are growing, when you are stretching from the inside, if you become bigger on the inside, it's automatically that you are going to become bigger on the outside.
Yes.
If you become better on the inside, you're going to become a better individual on the outside. Here's another thing
Absolutely.
about stretching, babe. When you stretch and you grow, stretching and growth fish you out of mediocrity. You with me? And so when we are looking for someone, when we are looking for a company, when we are looking for a product, because you never feel there's a level of oversaturation, but the cream always rise to the top. And so when you are stretching, when you are growing, when you are becoming better, it fish you out of mediocrity. So someone can automatically say, you are the best in your field.
So, all right. So, hold on. I don't want us to throw more out there that can be digested. So, basically, what you are saying is that when you recognize that untapped capability on the inside of you and you decide that you're going to stretch to a new dimension, what you're pretty much doing is pulling yourself apart from the field.
Yes.
You're literally saying, hey, I'm different, because we know the slight edge is just a 1%
just a
improvement
one
from
just a one
everybody
proof.
else.
It is.
Right? So we know that once you are stretching to a new dimension, people see it.
Yeah.
The people who love you see it, the people who hate you, they see it too. But they will always notice that you are different.
Yes.
And just before, because I know you're ready, you're literally piping hot and ready to share everything else. But we want to take a quick break here on the Designers of Change podcast. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about stretching to the new dimension. Welcome as we continue our discussion about stretching to a new dimension. I think Mr. Wright let us go off on a break with such a bang right there, because he was literally saying that once you are stretching to a new dimension, you're pulling yourself apart, away from status quo. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but just before that, we want to say a big shout out to our amazing sponsors, to Jace Myrie Media, Superlative Auto, Mind Food International, Grace Creates, Amanda's Kitchen, and Vibrant Creative Studio. Also, Caribbean Gospel TV and MAAD 97.5 FM all the way in Guyana. We're ready again now, Mr. Wright.
Yeah. So we are saying once you start to stretch yourself into a new dimension, a new level, it automatically fish you out of mediocrity.
So it's like a light.
It's
like a spotlight.
It's like a spotlight.
It's just beaming down on you.
It's like a spotlight. Because if you can say in the field of motor vehicle, we automatically know the top brands in those. But what you are also saying, it is true. The top brand, the top athlete, the top whatever in any era, they are not different by far.
No.
They are different by a slight edge.
Yes,
We have seen
yes.
it we have seen it last year in the 100 meter, 100 meter men's 100 meter at the Olympics, where Oblique Seville beat Kishian Thomas by Thompson by 1/10 of a second. That's make the difference between.
Look how small
Look
that
how
is.
small that is. 1/10 of a
Look
second.
how small. And that's the difference
And that's
between the gold medal and the
and a
silver.
silver medal, and we can go back to the Olympics a nanosecond. Couple of years ago, we couldn't even measure a nanosecond, and so that separate the silver medalist in the 100-meter Olympic champion between the gold medal and nanosecond.
Yes.
A slight edge. And so when you stretch, when you are growing, you automatically rise to the top. And guess what? People automatically say you are one of the best in the field. You are
Absolutely.
adding more value.
Absolutely.
So when you remain stagnant in life, what you are doing, you are sinking to the very bottom. Because here's what happens, babes, in life. You never remain the same. You're either getting better or you are getting worse. That is why when a company plateaus is when you climb and you hit and you are right here. Here's what life. You only can go up by being intentional. And so if you plateau for very long, you're going to decline because nothing remains the same. And so growth, stretching, start from the inside.
You know, another thing I want you to touch on, because this is the reason people don't grow. You know, one of the main reasons people don't grow is because it requires changes.
Yeah.
Right? Changes, and I wanted to touch on this. Changes, not just mentally, because you spoke about changing intrinsically, but changes in terms of your association, changes of in terms of how you speak, the places you frequent. It's not easy.
No, change is not easy. To break a new habit, it's not easy. And sometimes you need full power to break. Remember when we were taking off last year, January? It's 1 year since we were in St. Martin. When we were in St. Martin, we were taking off at one of the world's most famous airport. For those who don't know the St. Martin airport, the airport is literally on a beach. The runway is literally on a beach. There's a barbed wire and the runway stop right there.
Fence.
There's a little fence, and then there's the sun, and then there's the water. So you are literally on the beach. You can Google it.
And I mean, it's famous because everybody stands at the beach to wait on the planes to land. So you're literally underneath the plane and you take the picture with the plane over
touch the plane.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
and
no, not literally. You're not touching the plane.
You can actually, it just right overhead, probably about 10 or 12 feet. It just right overhead as a touchdown on the runway. You can look at it on YouTube. But the point is that when we were taking off, something happened. When we were taking off, the pilot said to us, he comes on the PSA system in the plane. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, the plane is about to get very loud. You might feel a little vibration. He said, what happened? The runway is very short. And we need full power. We need full power to get up to 180 so we can rotate and take off. He said we need full power to take off. Now, here's what happened sometime in life. Sometime in life, to break a habit, to break the gravitational pull, to take off like that aircraft in St. Martin, it is going to require full power to get away from some of those habits so that you can take off to make the necessary change. Because some of us, we are addicted to a lot of things. You can be addicted to social media, you can be addicted to TV, you can be addicted to many things. That sometimes some things are not necessarily bad, but it is preventing us from moving forward.
And you see, this is why I am not against. Sometimes people go cold turkey, and I'm not against it. You know, other people will look at them and say, boy, that person is extreme. What they mean they don't watch TV any at all? They're not on social media any at all. What if that person was struggling so much mentally because of those things, and they finally decided that, listen, I'm not going to go near it.
Yeah.
they are protecting themselves, and it helps them to break that habit. It loosens the hold that
Yeah.
thing would have had on them. And so I'm not against it. If you're looking at, empowering yourself, developing yourself, sometimes you have to take those radical steps
Yeah.
to get to that new dimension.
Stretching require a level of calculative risk. If you are going to stretch into a new level, whatever that level is, and here's another thing, we need to define the new level or the new dimension that we want to stretch in. Because a lot of time we know when you go to church and we say, hallelujah, we are going to the new level, and you say, what does the new level look like?
You have
We
no
don't
idea.
know. We don't know. And many times we measure our year. You ask somebody, how was your year last year? And they say, well, it's a good year versus a bad year. And you ask them, what does a good year look like? And they say, well, we have many good things happen versus many
Bad
bad
things.
things. Yeah, so they measure the year not by what they're achieving that year, because there's no KPI. The next level was not defined. And I can understand, because many times, babes, you go into a store and say, you know what, I need a blazer. You know, the new blazer syndrome. You say, what does the new blazer look like? You don't know, but once you see the new blazer, you know that's the blazer you want. So sometime a next level, a person might not define what the next level is. But once they see this is like your blazer, you don't know what kind of blazer you want.
But when I see it,
But
I
when
know
I
it.
see it, you know it. And so that's fine. But majority of the time, you need KPIs to go into the next level. You need to take some form of risk, because here's the thing: he who risks nothing will gain nothing. Let me say that again: he who risks nothing
Will
will
gain
gain
nothing.
nothing. And sometimes a level of faith is required. You are going to start something. We are going to get out there. We are going to destroy our own success, because we realize Kodak. That is why Kodak is not around today. Kodak was the same company that invented the camera, but Kodak was also the same company that invented the digital camera. But guess what? They did not incorporate it into their company, because they did not want to destroy their past success. And today, Kodak is not around. But one of their main competitor, Fujifilms, was around, because they take some risks and say, you know what? This film thing is not going to work. Digital cameras is here. And if we don't make that risk and take that change, we probably will not be here. And guess what? Fujifilm, the smaller company to Kodak, make the necessary change. Kodak said, we are not going to take that risk. And guess what? Mediocre kill them. They stagnate to death. And so as you're out there today and you're listening to this podcast, you have to stretch into the new dimension. You can't be a Kodak in an iPhone era.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have phone on our camera today. We are not going out there to buy no film.
He said we have our phones on our camera, which is true, because if you look at the functionality of our phones, but we use most of it to film, to picture, even more than calling. People are now putting up TikToks and saying, listen, don't call my phone. Text me. Text me. I'm not going to answer, right? They'll look at the phones ringing. But that's a very important line right there. And just understanding that stretching to the new dimension means that you're going to have to sacrifice. I tell people this all the time. If you want to show up a new person, like I always tell people, when you see me again, you're seeing NAS 2.0. It means I would have had to sacrifice some things that the NAS 1.0 used to do, or how she used to dress, or how she spoke, or how she responded to people. You always have to remember that. And your association is one of the key things that determines how you enter the next dimension, if you even walk through that door at all. Always remember, you have to be around the right people. You have to have the right partnerships. You have to be moving in a particular direction, because guess what? You won't get very far if you're not around the right people.
And stretching also give you a shot at greatness.
Absolutely.
When you take your last breath in life, Because all of us will eventually, we will take our last breath in life. When you take your last breath in life, you want to die like Apostle Paul, who said, "It is finished." You want to die like Jesus, who said, "It is finished also." You want to die like Moses, who said, "I've seen the promised land." When Apostle Paul was writing to his mentee Timothy, he said, "I've been poured out. There's no more dream and vision left. You have accomplished everything that God has placed inside of you. You have stretched so much that your muscle has torn and it's growing back, and you are multiplying your impact, just like Jace. Jace have
Yes.
intern here, mentee. By the way, Jace camera is not on his phone. They are right here in our face. but it gives you a shot at greatness, babes. That greatness. A couple weeks ago, you saw Dr. Martin Luther King jacket suit in the Atlanta airport. I guess Martin Luther King Jr. never knew
Never saw that, guys.
that how impactful his life will be.
Never
But when
saw
you
it.
stretch and take that risk, we are not going to live for ourselves anymore.
No.
We are not here to pay bills and die. We are here to make an impact. We are here to live full and die empty. So this year, 2026, we want you to come on board with us, partner with us, that we can stretch. We want to stretch across the globe many times. We want to be on air, and we want just to shoot podcasts every week with us. So you have the partner with us, space is smiling.
Oh boy. But we're so grateful to be able to share on such a platform and just share our thoughts and share our teachings. It is indeed amazing. We thank you so much for sticking and staying with us for episode 16. Again, to our amazing sponsors, you guys help us to make this happen. Jace Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, Amanda's Kitchen, and Caribbean Gospel TV, and MAAD 97.5 FM, all the way in Guyana.
And one
See
more
you
thing.
again.
And one more thing, babes, go on the YouTube channel. We want to stretch into millions of subscribers. So subscribe so that our channel is growing. I don't like to look at the channel and not see the subscription button going up. So subscribe for us. Let us grow. Let us feel satisfied, and let us multiply our impact. So hit those subscription button.
Yep.
And let us stretch into a new dimension.
See you next episode. Blessings.
Thank you for joining us for the Designers of Change podcast. Join us on the next episode.